Very good evening, friends. And today we'll be studying about the effect of the memorandum and articles of association. The effect of the memorandum and articles of association with regard to a corporate entity. There could be a 20 marks question on this particular subject matter. Friends, Section 10 of the Companies Act 2013 deals with this subject matter. Section 10 says the effect of memorandum and articles as it is captioned. And there are two subsections. Section 10, subsection 1 says, subject to the provisions of this Act, the memorandum and articles shall, when registered, bind the company and the members thereof. See, bind the company and the members thereof to the same extent as if they respectively had been signed by the company and by each member and contain covenants on it and his part to observe all the provisions of memorandum and of the articles. What does it mean? This is implied contract. This is implied contract under the Indian Contract Act 1872. The relationship among the shareholders and the company and the shareholders, basically contractual. It is basically contractual. This is the most important aspect you have to understand, my dear friends. Because it is an implied contract, the memorandum of association of a public limited company has to be signed by 7 subscribers for registration, and the memorandum of association of a private company has to be signed by minimum 2 subscribers. Here 7 is the minimum, 2 is the minimum. A company may have a capital base of several crores and a large shareholding base, maybe running into about a lakh of shareholders. Then what you find there is the company was started by 7 subscribers and registered. Subsequently, in public issues, the shareholders base has been expanded to 1 lakh. All right. But it is deemed that all the 1 lakh have deemed to have signed the memorandum and articles of association, even though physically they have not signed. This is the implied contract under the Indian Contract Act. What for? They are all bound, even though they are not direct signatories. They are all bound by the contents of the memorandum and articles of association and bound by the subjects given thereof and bound by the terms and conditions thereof, and either for the transfer or to question the powers of directors or any such thing with regard to conduct of meetings of the company or any such thing for the running of affairs of the corporate entity. Ultimately, it is the provisions of memorandum and articles which will prevail upon all the shareholders, irrespective of the fact that they have whether they have signed or not. This is the most important aspect. I repeat now, please see section 10. Section 10 in consonance with the implied contract under the Indian Contract Act 1872. Subject to provisions of this Act, the memorandum and articles shall, when registered, bind the company and the members thereof to the same extent as if they respectively had been signed by the company and by each member. This is what I have been advocating. And contain covenants on it, and his part to observe all the provisions of the memorandum and of the articles. So, this is the most important provision, my dear friends. This is the legal the statutory provision, which you have to understand first. Then we will go through the various case law, English or Indian as the case may be, pertaining to this aspect of the binding relationship of Articles of Association and the Memorandum of Association with the members of the company. This is running into four parts. This is running into four different parts. Friends, the first part would be the members to the company. How there is a binding relationship of memorandum of association and articles of association between the members and the company. So that would be, you can say, the binding force of the memorandum and articles of association on members to the company. How does it go on? We'll see. See, members to the company is different, company to the members is different. Company is an independent entity. Members are not owners. They are only owners of their respective shareholding in the company. Never forget this. This is a principle where most of the seniors also commit mistake. And they categorically say shareholders are the owners. Shareholders are not the owners. Shareholders come and go if they are the owners. Then one owner will sell his part of share and go. So obviously he is not the owner of the company. He is holding a particular share. We have already discussed this particular subject matter elaborately while dealing with the particular attributes of corporate personality. Bachai of Guzdar versus Commission of Income Tax, Bombay. The most important citation I have given you in this regard. For that reason, my dear friends, we have to see how the binding force is there of the memorandum and articles of association with this particular company, that is members to the company. Well, prima facie, the memorandum and articles of association constitute a binding contract, as I already told you. That is what section 10 says. Then each member is bound as if he signed the memorandum and articles. There is a very interesting citation here. Hickman versus Kent, K-E-N-T, or Romney, March Sheep Breeders Association, 1915. This judgment is available in these Seales company cases. If you are interested to do further research in company law, you purchase Seales company cases, it is of great help to you. And then that would be containing various important English cases, and you can make a comparison that with the Indian judgments. So friends, it is Hickman versus Kent or Romney, March Sheep Breeders Association, 1915. In this case, the articles of association of this company made a provision that any disputes between members and the company must be referred to arbitration, and they cannot go approach the court of law. This particular aspect is covered under the Indian Contract Act also. That is, it does not come under restraint of legal proceedings. Arbitration is concerned, it stands as an exception. If that is the case, the 1H has brought a shareholder an action against the company in the court of law. Then the company applied for a stay and contended that the shareholder is bound by the arbitration clause and the suit is not maintainable. And the court ultimately granted stay, saying that it is correct, and then the provisions are binding, and then it is binding on the members to the company, and they are bound by the memorandum and articles of association. This is the most important case law you are supposed to write in the examination when this type of question comes to you. Then we will now come to the second part. I told you it would be in four parts. The second part is that the binding force of memorandum and articles of association with the company to the members. I have told you just now it is members to the company. Now it is company to the members. How does it go? The company is bound to the members in the same manner as The members are bound to the company. The company is bound to the members in the same manner as the members are bound to the company, which we have seen in the earlier case. The company can exercise its rights against the members in accordance with the provisions of memorandum and articles of association only, and it cannot swerve from the path laid under the memorandum and articles of association. The best example I gave you earlier in the attributes we are studying, gunpowder and face powder. A company's objects clause says the manufacturing is face powder and there is a demand for gunpowder, you cannot start off directly. You have to alter the articles, alter the memorandum as per the procedure I have already told you. Then pass a special resolution, comply. Then you have to take up this particular new product manufacturing. You can't directly start off. So the company is also bound by the contents of the memorandum and articles of association. This is what you have to explain in the examination point of view. What you are expected to write in the examination. Whether you have understood the principle in letter and spirit, the statutory provision, and the case law thereon. Normally, statute is clear, case law, in fact, not necessary. However, in support of the statutory provisions, we go for interpretation, and then basically when there is a conflict, interpretation is required. Otherwise, also, this kind of general topic is concerned, like it is 4 parts I told you. That is the members to company, company to members, then members inter se, and company to outsiders. So here, by practice, these things come in where case law comes into picture. Otherwise, section 10 is absolutely clear. Members to the company and company to the members, normally case law not required. But since it's a concept we are studying, I am trying to infuse important English and Indian cases as per the necessity so that you will have a more comprehensive outlook over the subject. But in principle, please understand, statute is absolutely clear. In fact, there is no need of any interpretation. Absolutely, case law is not necessary. But normally, in the examination point of view, to gain more marks and to show that you have studied much more and than expected, and we are also equipped with more knowledge, we will give this particular case law. It is up to you. So, friends, in this case also, section 10 applies without saying. However, I will give one more case law here. Wood, W-O-O-D, Wood versus Odessa. Wood versus Odessa Water Works Company. Wood versus Odessa Water Works Company, 1889. In this case, the directors of a company under the Articles of Association can, in fact, with the sanction of the company at a general meeting. The language is sanction of the company means general meeting, general body. That is how you have to understand. In the general meeting, declare a dividend to be paid to the members. They can declare a dividend to be paid to the members with the sanction of the general meeting. Then, friends, a resolution was passed. Carefully listen, this has got a very important sanctity of law. That's why I'm telling you that here is a case where the interpretation aspect has come into picture. Just now I told you how that interpretation comes. Practically, I am explaining here. A resolution was passed to give the shareholders debentures bearing interest and redeemable at par by the annual drawing over 30 years instead of paying dividends in cash. Normally, every year, the company's profits would be distributed after the taxes and then all expenses absorbed to the shareholders based on their shareholding. The dividend would be a percentage. 10%, 20%, 30%, 50%, it all depends upon In fact, some companies flourishing, I have seen in my experience that some companies gave even 200% dividend. If I am holding 1 lakh worth shares, my dividend is double to that. 2 lakhs dividend used to come. Please see the concept. A 10 rupee share I am holding is some of the companies is saleable in the market at the rate of 700, 800, 600, 1000 rupees. A 10 rupee share. In a public issue, I purchased a share in the primary market and I got about 1000 shares. Or normally 1000 shares we can't purchase in primary, you have to obtain later on. Whatever, maybe ultimately I have obtained 1000 shares for a very primary 10 rupees, secondary market whatever it is, but not 800, 700, less than that. 10 years today, the rate is suppose 700, 800,000 rupees. That is the advantage of shareholding. For that, you have to see Economic Times or Hindu every day. Until this corporate loss course is over, you subscribe to the Economic Times and then you, in fact, every day you read the newspaper or at least the internet, it is available, read it in internet. Hindu also. You will get a lot of information on the stock market, shareholding, corporate miscellany, and then the NCLT orders, IBC, various issues you will get familiarized. This is the most important thing for students to have more practical knowledge. Necessarily, you familiarize yourself with Economic Times and Hindu. Necessary. So here also is a case where the shareholders will get a dividend that is a return on their investment. It could be 10%, 5%, 200%, depends upon the company's performance. And the dividend is paid in cash. In cash means it will be credited to your bank account, not in kind. Always dividend will be paid in cash. If more profits are there, then they will issue bonus shares. If I am holding 1000 shares, probably if it is 1:1, another 1000 shares without my contribution I will get from the company. This is called bonus issue of shares. There are separate rules and regulations under SEBI, and then that would be a separate subject matter for our discussion. But I am only categorically telling you that this particular provision here says the company would get, members will get dividend paid by a declaration in the general meeting. This is the provision in the articles. Then a resolution was passed saying that instead of money, it would be paid in debentures bearing interest and redeemable at par by annual drawing over 30 years instead of paying dividends in cash every year. What does it mean? The company then will get the entire dividend saved, and a piece rate it will start paying for 30 years, and in 30 years this money will be utilized by the company for its activities. Ultimately, shareholders will be at a disadvantage because suppose I am a pensioner, I have invested in this company because it is a good company. Every year I get about 50,000 rupees towards dividend. Today I will not get dividend. I will get debentures. And this would be repaid every year for 30 years. I am 70-year-old pensioner. Next 30 years I will not be live. I will not be alive. What is this nonsense? So this is a mischief played by the company. So here company to members, earlier members to company, now company to members, that the company is bound by the contents of the articles and memorandum of association, and it is to be bound by the articles and memorandum to the members, and the articles say pay to the members, which means that the court of law said that this particular wording pay means paying in cash and then this particular resolution, spreading it over 30 years, paying in kind is impermissible. So one of the shareholders went to the court of law and filed a suit. And the court said the company is bound by the articles. Articles bind the company to the members. And payment means interpretation. Remember, always the meaning of payment is payment in cash. Payment in cash. So here, otherwise it could have been set in the articles payment in kind also. That was not there. So it is an ultra virus. And then the court of law said it is illegal. Such kind of provision, in fact, is not permissible. And finally, the court of law said that the company is bound by the memorandum and articles to the members. It binds the company to the members. And further, the resolution is not binding, and the company has to pay to the shareholders only the dividend in cash only. It cannot pay in kind. So, friends, this is a very beautiful judgment, English court judgment. And then, in fact, you have to understand some of the terms, sometimes court will interpret, sometimes you will find in the most important legislation called General Clauses Act. There is a General Clauses Act passed by the central government, that is the parliament, and there is a state General Clauses Act also. I want both students to keep with them both the state and central legislations, and then keep it on your study table so that several interpretations, for example, already signature. What is signature? Signature is the identity of consent. So these are all the practical things which are interpreted in this General Clauses Act. This is the most important legislation. Both the legislations, state and central, you must keep on your table. Then, friends, now I have told you how the binding force is there, and then that is members to the company, then company to the members. Now I will take you to the third segment, that is the members intercede. What do you mean by members intercede? Among the members, how it is binding. That means company is not a party. There is no dispute between the company and the member, or member and the company. Company does something, member can sue, then there is a dispute. Member does something, company can sue, then there is a dispute. It is not the case in the third place. It is members intercede. Members intercede means that the members among themselves are also bound by the memorandum and articles of association contents, and they have to be bound by. So the articles and memorandum under section 10 impliedly bind the members intercede, and then the members among themselves, any disputes arise, they have to ultimately restrict it to within the scope of memorandum and articles of association, and they cannot go beyond. This is the most important aspect we have to understand. How does it happen? Let us see that the memorandum and articles constitute an implied contract, as I already told you, with the company and the member and the company, and among the members, and they are all binding on each member as against the other or others. This is the law. You have to read always the Companies Act along with the Indian Contract Act. What is the nature of relationship subsisting between a company and a member? Contractual. What is the relationship subsisting between the member and the company? Contractual. What is the relationship subsisting members among themselves? Contractual. What is the relationship subsisting between company and an outsider who is entering into a contract with the company? Obviously contractual. This is the most important aspect, my dear friends, you have to understand. So, here is a citation I give you. This is Rayfield, Rayfield, Rayfield versus Hands. Rayfield versus Hands. 1960. In this case, the Articles of Association of a company provided that if a member is intended to transfer his shares, if a member is intended to transfer his shares, he must inform the directors of his intention, and the directors must take the said shares equally between them at a fair value. Remember, the one of the features I told you is liquidity of a corporate entity. One of the features of a corporate entity is liquidity. Liquidity means transferability, convertibility of shares into cash. I told you wealth versus cash. A person may be wealthy, may not have sufficient cash. So a question comes here. Here, for example, I have got shares, I can immediately convert them. I got liquidity. So liquidity means what? Transfer of shares. Liquidity means transfer of shares. In that regard, there are certain rules and regulations for transfer. A prima facie rule is that whether it is a private company or a public company, a government company, the shares are freely transferable, and the transfer of shares cannot be prohibited. Subject to condition, private companies will restrict the transfer of shares. Restrict but not prohibit. No company can prohibit the transfer of shares. A company can impose restrictions. Normally, public limited companies are there without any much restriction except the ceiling with regard to the promoters quota and all that. Normally, private limited companies, they can put a restriction of transfer, but they cannot prohibit the transfer. This is the most important point you are supposed to understand. In this particular case, the Articles of Association provided if the member is intended to transfer, he should offer them to the directors, and then the directors must take the shares equally among themselves at a fair value. This is the most important thing. And then, in this case, the directors refused to take, and then they said, no, we will not take. Then he can go to the outsider and sell it. In that event, he has gone to the court of law, saying that among the shareholders, there is a contract binding because of the clauses in the Articles of Association, and the memorandum and articles have a binding force among the shareholders inter se. Now the court said yes, it is correct. The directors were obliged as the articles imposed an obligation on them, not as directors, but as members of the company. It is not necessary a director should be a member unless articles stipulate. But the shareholder's role is different. So it is question here with regard to the shareholders, where the directors as shareholders have to take that particular share and among themselves distribute and offer the market rate. So the court said directors were obliged as articles imposes an obligation on them, not as directors but as members of the company. And it was not necessary for the company to be a party to this action. That's why the company was not made as a party, and ultimately the court directed the directors to take among themselves the shares and pay the market rate. How beautiful it is. In the same way, there is one more case, Borland's Trustee versus Steel Brothers and Company Limited, 1901, where the court held that the Articles of Association constitutes a personal contract between a member and the rest of members. If I am a shareholder in a company, there are 1 lakh other shareholders, there is a personal implied contract between me and all the remaining 1 lakh shareholders. That is what I have told you. It is deemed that they have signed Section 10. So, Section 10 not only speaks of company to member and member to company, impliedly it says about the members among themselves inter se also. This is the most important provision, my dear friends. You have to understand, and this is the third segment of our discussion on the binding force of memorandum and articles of association. I hope now you appreciate the legal position of this beautiful subject, company law. Now, the last point, the company binding force of memorandum and articles of association with regard to company to outsiders. How the memorandum and articles bind the company to outsiders, means who are dealing with the company. So basically, the school of thought is that the articles, section 10 won't apply here, but it is the judicial decisions will apply. Interpretation will come into picture. Payment, articles clause, interpretation came. Wood versus Odisha Water Works Company. In the same way here, how the binding force is there between the company and the outsider, it is the interpretation. Because articles do not constitute any binding contract as between a company and an outsider, basically. An outsider normally cannot take advantage of the articles and then to make a claim thereupon against the company. However, if a third party to a contract is put into specific contractual obligation, then the contract is binding. Here is a case where a third party to a contract cannot acquire any right and liability under a contract. The same provision, Chinnaya versus Ramaya, Tweedle versus Atkinson, we studied under the Indian Contract Act. However, there are certain circumstances where the language of the articles is that it creates a binding contract, then it will be binding. That is the language we have to see. I give you 2-3 examples. First example, LA, ELEY, LA versus Positive Government Security Life Assurance Company. LA versus Positive Government Security Life Assurance Company, 1876. In this case, the articles of association of a company provided that 1E must be appointed as the solicitor of the company. Earlier, there is a now, even now, somewhere in Bombay, I think the solicitors, the language is used mostly scrapped, and then that solicitor of the company for life and should not be removed from office except for misconduct. That means solicitor not for 2 years, 3 years, for life, and he could be removed only when there is a proven misconduct. Then he took over the office and also became a shareholder subsequently. Later on, the company dismissed him without alleging misconduct. See, this guy becoming shareholder is different. This guy becoming solicitor is different. Two things. I told you earlier. A person, a watchman of a company can purchase debentures, creditor, can purchase shares, shareholder, can put money in fixed deposit, creditor, and as a watchman, he is employee of the company. And tomorrow, watchman, workers association, there is a provision, and he becomes a director on behalf of the workers. So here also, he is a solicitor on contract. He can't be removed for life. Removed, without proven misconduct, and appointment is for life. And this particular person is a professional in that capacity, purchased the shares of the company. Now he was dismissed without alleging misconduct, removed as a solicitor. Now what happens? This solicitor then sued for damages. Now the question came whether articles of association constitute any contract between the company and an outsider, because solicitor is an outsider. And as such, here, there is no such kind of contractual relationship which is propounded under the Articles of Association. It is only a clause, and there is no formal contract entered into. Based on articles, outsider cannot claim any kind of relief, so that no action would lie and the suit is dismissed. His dismissal was upheld. Then, friends, this has in fact caused a very great hardship, because this is a very old case in that particular time, and then 1876. So subsequently another case came, Brownie versus Law Trinidad. Brownie versus LA, Law Trinidad, Trinidal. In this case, the articles contained a clause whereby one B was to be a director and he cannot be removed for a particular period of time. A specific period was given, but he was removed before the maturity. Prematurely he was removed. Now the court said B could not restrain the company from removing him, as there was no contract between him and the company, and whatever provision is there in the articles cannot be a binding contract with the company and the outsider, or the outsider and the company. Section 10 won't apply there. This is the most important aspect. So this LS case has caused a great hardship. Subsequently, people thought the rule should be relaxed, and subsequently it was held by the courts. In the event a clause in the articles not dealing with the rights of the members as such, but not dealing with the rights of the members as such, but apparently intended to operate as a contract, not as a bylaw, but as a contractual obligation. This is the most important aspect. With him, this is the subtlety of law, not as a bylaw, but as a contractual obligation. Then it is to be regarded as the basis of a contract, and if the parties enter into the relationship contemplated by a particular clause of Articles of Association, then they must be treated as having made a contract in terms of that clause, and they are bound by that clause accordingly, even though they have not formally entered into any contract. This is a relaxation. So subsequently, there is a case law here, Swabey, Swabey, Swabey versus Port Darwin, Darwin, Darwin Gold Mining Company. Swabey versus Port Darwin Gold Mining Company, 1889. Friends, this is a very important citation where the articles in this case provided that the directors should receive a specified sum per annum by way of their directors' remuneration. This is the most important aspect. In the month of July, the company passed a special resolution reducing the sum as stated, whatever is stated in the articles, from the end of the preceding year, retrospective effect. Normally, you can't make a law rule retrospectively. It should be normally prospective. This is the standard principle of universal law. Now is the case where they were deprived of. Then the plaintiff, one of the directors, resigned and sued the company for his remuneration at the rate specified by articles. Now the issue came now, whether articles constitute a contract. That's what I told you. Because LS case caused hardship, I told you that you have to see whether the clause in the articles is not dealing with the rights of the members, but the, apparently it is creating an intention to operate as a contract. the language so. And then the parties enter into such relationship contemplated by the clause, not as a general rule, but as a contract created under the Articles of Association. So the court has now, in fact, relaxed the rule in Brownie's case and then LS case, and then observed in a more, I think, liberal way, then held that the director was entitled up to the date of resignation, whatever remuneration contemplated under the Articles of Association, that particular resolution, reducing it with the previous year, retrospective effect, will not be binding on this particular director. And the court further said there is an implied contract of service at the rate of remuneration specified in the Articles of Association. There is an implied contract of service specified at the rate of remuneration as stated so in the Articles of Association. So, friends, tomorrow we lawyers have to go through the Articles of Association. Prima facie, this kind of issues come to us. We had to prima facie see the articles whether constitute a contractual obligation. It's a general rule, a regulation, or a contractual obligation. This is the most important aspect. And in the modern context today, I am of the opinion that the articles do constitute, based on Fabe and then various other cases, mostly the law is universal here now, that the Articles of Association constitute, even with outsiders, a binding contract, so that even a person may not be a shareholder but would become a director and remuneration is payable. It's a contract. It's a contract. Because here he is working as a director on the board for a remuneration fixed thereon. No doubt, he was chosen by the shareholders on elevation, by the election. But still, there is a binding contract because of the provision in the articles pertaining to their remuneration. So always you have to see the memorandum and articles, and the basic structure of memorandum is binding absolutely. Articles can interpret memorandum clauses, but it cannot override. Memorandum and articles cannot override the act. The statute is binding on the memorandum and articles, and it can override. Now, the articles can interpret and articles can contain such kind of obligations which are contractual in nature. Then there would be a binding force of articles with the company and the outsiders also. But it is exceptional. What is primarily binding is the memorandum and articles bind the company to the members, members to the company, members mean shareholders, and intersee among members themselves, and in extraordinary circumstances. If the language of the articles constitute a contract, then it would be binding between the company and the outsiders. But remember, a shareholder and outsider, it is a different contract. It is out of the scope of this particular corporate law, and it has nothing to do with this particular company. Right? Chinnaya versus Ramaya, Tweedle versus Atkinson. That principle will come always. So you have to always study thoroughly the Indian Contract Act along with the Companies Act. And both will have to be correlated, my dear friends, in order to come to proper conclusion. Prima facie, the fundamental relationship, the nature of relationship, the company and the member and the company, members among themselves is contractual. Indian Contract Act applies, implied contract will come into picture. So friends, this is the important background. With this, in fact, we conclude our discussion today on the binding force of memorandum and articles of association on the company, and so and so what we have discussed today. And then in tomorrow's session, tomorrow is Sunday, but tomorrow, hello, tomorrow is Sunday. Do we meet tomorrow or day after? Do we meet tomorrow or day after?
We will meet, sir.
We will meet tomorrow.
We can meet, sir. Yes, sir.
Tomorrow we will meet.
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
All right. Tomorrow,
Yes, sir.
because day after tomorrow, I will not be available. So we'll meet tomorrow and then at 6:30, and I will discuss about the doctrine of indoor management and then constructive notice. Probably with this unit 2 will be completed. So thank you very much. And then very nice. We had a great time and then good discussion. And then friends, thank you. We'll meet tomorrow. Good night. Bye.
Good night, sir. Thank you so much.